Hi, welcome to this Excel tutorial video, and today I'm doing a short video on formulas and functions. So in Excel we've got this little box here called the formula bar, and whatever we type in this box is what we're going to see output into our cell. So I'm in cell G1. While I'm in cell G1 I can type anything I like and it will be typed into this formula bar, or I can click in the formula bar and I can type in there also. Whatever I type in here is going to be presented into this cell. Now, as long as it's basic text, I can just type it. So I can put the word hello, I can put any amount of words in there, I can put numbers. As soon as I try and do something that isn't a straightforward piece of text, then I've got to tell Excel that I'm doing something a little bit more complicated. So I could put a calculation in there. I could put 1 times 2, but if I do 1 times 2, it's just going to show it as a piece of text, 1 star 2. If I want it to be a calculation, I've got to begin with an equals, and then I do 1 times 2, and it will give me the result of 1 times 2. So by putting in equals, it tells Excel that whatever's coming after the equals is going to be some sort of calculation, some sort of formula, or multiple formulas, functions, and calculations potentially. So we can do a number of things once we put an equals. We can reference a cell, so we can say equals C1, and whatever's in C1 will be output into my cell. If I didn't have the equals and I put C1, it will just put the word C1. So equals, and I can actually just click, and there is the result of C1 in my cell G1. We also have functions. Now, functions are a pre-created set of code that do a particular task. So, as an example, if I type length, or rather len, returns the length of a piece of text. So if I do len and I select F1, it will show me the length of cell F1. And if I just run this down, you can see that it does change depending on the cell to the left. The function len, or any function, has to have a start and end brackets, and the function begins and ends with those brackets. So after that len, after this bracket rather, the function has finished, and I can do more, but the len function itself starts and ends with these brackets, and after that I can do more stuff. So the result of len is a number. So after that I can say times 2. And you can see it returns 12 because the length of that is 6, times 2 is 12. Len starts and ends at that bracket. After the bracket, we've got times 2, which is the result of this len, which is 6, times 2, which is 12. Now, that's all very well if you're dealing with a formula that returns a number. You couldn't do, say, the formula left. So if we do left, what left does is it returns you a portion of a piece of string depending on a given amount of characters. So if I say I want the left 4 characters of F1, so if I say 4, it's going to return me MOND. My left begins with this bracket and ends with this bracket, but because it is a word, I can't times it by anything. I get an error because the result of my left is a word, MOND. And if I try and times MOND by 4, that's not going to work. It doesn't make any sense. But because it is a word, I can add more letters to it maybe. So I can say, and so now we've got mond and then help. And if I run this down here, what we'll see is it's going to get the left 4 characters followed by the word help. So because it's a piece of text, I can use this and symbol here, and what that does is concatenate or add chunks of text together. Now let us look at equals len. Let's look at the length of this field here. So we've got a 3, which is true, and I can, like I said, I can times that by a value, but also I can say times by and then I can do another len, and I'll say the length of this. So if we break this down, the length of B1 is 3, the length of F1 is 6, and 3 sixes are 18. The first len here begins and ends with these two brackets. It doesn't go any further than that. It stops after this bracket. Then we've got a times. Then we've got another len that begins and ends with these brackets. So the result of this len function times by the result of this len function equals the result of my calculation, which is 3 times 6. But we do have functions where we can add functions within functions. If I do left like we did, and I want to get the leftmost characters of F1, but the amount of characters is the length of the word in B1. So if I do that, the length of the word 1 is 3. The leftmost 3 characters of Monday is MON. But if I run this down here, we will see that here the length of the word 3 is 5 characters, and the first 5 characters of Wednesday are WEDNE. Now the point I'm trying to make here is we've got 2 functions now. This left function begins with this black bracket here, and it ends at this black bracket there. Then we've got another function within this function, len, that begins with this red bracket here and ends with that red bracket here. It's incredibly important that you understand where these functions begin and end, because when you get to something complicated, you need to appreciate where these begin and end to try and unpick a longer formula. This is just a quick video on functions. If you've got any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, thanks for your time.